Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to talk about something that drives so many language learners crazy. It's that huge gap between understanding a language and actually speaking it with confidence. So let's jump into a method that kind of flips everything you thought you knew about learning on its head.
I bet this sounds familiar, right? You can watch a movie, you totally get what's going on. You can read an article, no problem. But then it's your turn to say something, and the words just get stuck. It's super common, super frustrating. But what if the answer isn't to study more? What if it's something totally different? I know what you're thinking. No grammar, no textbooks? That sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But stick with me here. The focus is all about a much more natural and powerful method, using your ears to teach your mouth how to speak. And the core idea couldn't be simpler. There's a direct, powerful connection between how many hours you spend just listening and how fast you actually get better at speaking. It's all about soaking your brain in the sounds, the rhythm, and the natural flow of English. Now, the key word for this whole process is to consolidate. And what does that mean? Well, we don't just want to hear a word once. The goal is to make those words and phrases strong and solid in our brain. And we do that through lots and lots of repetition. This is about deep learning, not just hearing something one time.
20 to 30 times. Yeah, I know that number sounds absolutely insane. But listen, you don't do this all in one sitting. The idea is to listen to the same short audio a few times every day for a week. What this does is it builds those language patterns deep inside your brain until they become totally automatic. Okay, so all this listening is great, but how do we make it active? How do we start actually forming sentences? Well, we use something called the mini story method. It's a really clever question and answer technique that's kind of like having a conversation, but without the pressure. So, you ready to try it out? It's really easy. I'm going to give you a little piece of information. Then I'll ask a super simple question about it. All you have to do is answer out loud in the pause. Don't worry about being perfect. Just say the first thing that comes to mind. Let's go.
All right, here's our first sentence. Get this picture in your head. The Parker family owned a big factory in Liverpool. Simple enough, right?
Okay, now you answer. Did the Parker family own a small factory? No, exactly right. Now look at that answer. They didn't own a small factory. See that? That's the negative structure in action. By answering that simple question, you just practiced it without even thinking about grammar rules.
Let's try another one. What did the Parker family own?
They owned a big factory. Perfect. And see what just happened? You just responded to a WH question form. By doing these little back and forths, you're training your brain to build sentences correctly and super fast, all without a textbook in sight. So, what's the magic here? Why does this simple little game work so well? Well, for one, it's like a conversation simulator. It gets you to respond automatically on the spot. It helps you build those quick reflexes you need for a real chat. And the best part is, you don't need to memorize a single complex grammar rule to do it.
Okay, let's talk about the big one, the thing that so many learners worry about, their accent. There's this idea that you have to sound perfectly British or perfectly American to be a good speaker. But let's take a closer look at that, shall we?
Here's a little history fact that might blow your mind. Back in the 1700s, the way people spoke in Britain and America was actually pretty similar. The fancy British accent that we think of today, the Queen's English, that was developed later by wealthy people who wanted to sound different, more elegant. So this idea that there's one single correct accent, it's basically a myth. Accents change all the time. And this brings us to the most important point of all. Seriously, this is the main takeaway. Your goal isn't to get a perfect accent. Your goal is to communicate clearly. If people can understand what you're saying, you've succeeded. That's what real communication is all about. So, once you've been doing all this listening and practicing with these little stories, what's the next step? Well, it's time to start talking to actual people. And I know that can be pretty scary. So, the key is finding a place where you feel safe and supported so you can build up that confidence. Now, a huge part of real-world conversation is being able to speak impromptu. It's a great word, and it just means talking without a plan or a script, just reacting in the moment. That question and answer exercise we did, that's your first step in training that impromptu speaking muscle. So where can you go to practice this stuff without feeling judged? Well, there's a fantastic organization you can find in cities all over the world called Toastmasters. It's a nonprofit club that's designed to do one thing: help people become more confident speakers in a super friendly and encouraging place. And a meeting is usually broken into a few parts. You have people who give speeches they've prepared ahead of time. Then they get really helpful, constructive feedback. And then there's my favorite part, table topics. These are short, fun, impromptu speeches on a random topic, which is the perfect way to practice thinking on your feet. So let's wrap this all up. Let's look at your path to fluency. Step 1, listen, listen, listen to consolidate that language in your brain. Step 2, get active with those Q&A stories. Step 3, forget about having a perfect accent and just focus on being clear. And finally, step 4, take those skills and build your confidence in a safe place. So I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. We've always been taught that fluency comes from books, right? From memorizing grammar and vocabulary lists. But what if the real secret isn't written down at all? What if it's been waiting for you this whole time in what you hear?